Welcome back. Tuesday shaping up to be a big deal for the Republican candidates. They are facing off in 5 states Tuesday night, with Pennsylvania's 71 delegates offering the biggest prize. Donald Trump is a heavy favorite in the region. Picking up wins there could go a long way for Trump in solidifying his status with the GOP establishment. Meanwhile, one of his top aides tried to find common ground at the RNC spring meeting. Joining me right now is Fox News digital politics editor Chris Stirewalt, who covered the RNC meeting. Chris, good to see you.
Good morning.
So first, take us inside that meeting, because there was all this talk about Trump's aide saying he is going to be more presidential and he's about to turn a corner in terms of the perception of Trump. What can you tell us?
Well, what he said that they really wanted to hear was that Trump had been putting on an act with some of the over-the-top rhetoric and the issues, the topics he was discussing, that all of that was an attempt to win the primaries, and once the primaries were done, then he would pivot and that would take place. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I can tell you that the people who were down there hanging by the open bar and seafood platter were very eager to believe it. They want to believe it, because if it's not true, they know what they're facing, not just on the presidential level, but down ballot, because these people really care. Yeah, they care about the presidential, but they really care about, can they keep 31 Republican governors? Could they try to keep control of the Senate? Could the House go closer to parity? Those are the things that they care about, including their own state houses and state legislatures.
How much of a risk is Donald Trump becoming more, quote, presidential, alienating his supporters who basically got on the Trump train because he says it the way it is and says it, you know, not very presidential? So is it a risk for him to change his tone now?
I think for the core, let's say, third of the Republican Party or third of Republican primary voters who came in for Trump and believe in Trump, not just as a disruptor or not just as the last man standing, but the people who really believe, see this guy as he claims, the next Ronald Reagan or the most presidential person since Abraham Lincoln. They believe that, and they will give him broad latitude, because it's about him, not policies, and they will give him latitude. This helps him then with the Republican establishment. He is starting to pay the money that it takes to get the quietus on these people, and he is, or through his aides, promising that this has been a put on, and he's going to say and do the things that are necessary not to get smoked like a Christmas ham in the general election.
Yeah. What do you think about the general election then? I mean, all the polls say one thing, but do you think Trump can beat Hillary Clinton?
Well, sure, he can beat Hillary Clinton. We don't have any evidence that that is so, but he could beat Hillary Clinton. Look, we would have said 8 months ago he can't win the Republican nomination. It's not possible. But his combination of, as you were talking about with Linda McMahon, combination of mastery of social media, the deep disaffection of so many in the Republican Party, plus the profusion of candidates, field divided 17 ways, Donald Trump became possible. In a head-to-head matchup with Hillary Clinton right now, obviously it looks pretty dire for the Republicans, but we don't know what's going to transpire in the next 200 days. So that's why, Maria, that's why they need us. That's why they have to keep us around.
I like that. I like that a lot. well, let me ask you this, because, you know, when I speak with the Cruz campaign, they are adamant that there is a path for Ted Cruz. Now, it may not be mathematical to get 1237 before the convention, but they are sure that he has a real shot to be the disruptor here. Kasich will say the same thing. Let's just take it to Ohio, take it to the July convention, and let's see how it plays out. What's your take on all of this?
Look, Trump's math for winning the requisite number of delegates outright in primaries and caucuses isn't great. It's better than Cruz's, obviously. Cruz is now reaching the mathematical vanishing point and will, presumably, because Trump's going to have a great Tuesday. How great will say something about his own path. But nobody has a great path right now to an outright clinch. What Ted Cruz has, though, is a Republican Party that lines up with him ideologically and attitudinally substantially better than Trump. And yes, Ted Cruz is right. If Donald Trump can't win on the first ballot, he must win on the first ballot. And if he can't, we would expect to see hundreds of delegates, not a couple delegates, but hundreds of delegates flee from Trump and go to Cruz as the most likely next person.
And you think that they would do that they would, on the second ballot, actually change direction?
Sure, and because they're bound by the law or the rules in their states to vote one way on the first ballot. In some states, it's 2 ballots. But these are people who didn't want Trump to begin with, but are obliged to be there for him on the first ballot, and then will change to go with the way that they want to go, and the Trump people will cry foul, and somebody will throw a chair, and it will be quite a spectacle.
Wow, I'll tell you, it is going to be such an unbelievable convention. anything can happen at this July convention. Top Trump aides are saying that he wants to mend fences with the Republican National Committee. Chris, do you believe this, that he's trying to mend fences? Because he says he wants to mend fences with the RNC. He wants to be all on the same team. And then he gets out at the rallies and he basically trashes them, saying that the system is rigged.
Right. And what he does is Donald Trump provides a credible threat. The credible threat is that if he does not get what he wants, that he will guarantee the party loses in November, number one, and number two, the convention itself could be chaotic and even violent. That's a credible threat that he's making. Meantime, his aides go to the RNC and say, now look, I know that threat sounds bad, but there are emoluments too. The bar is open, the seafood tower is chilled. Please come and we will maybe hire you, or maybe we'll make sure that some money gets to your state party. So they're working both sides of it. One side is the threat, the other side is the emolument. You bring those together. Look, the RNC just wants to lay down. These people are tired of fighting. They're terrified of what's going to happen at their convention. The members of the Republican National Committee just want this to be over, and Donald Trump is the shortest path out of this primary season.
Yeah, which is why they punted on any changes to the rules. The rules are the same, and at that meeting they decided no rule changes at this point. Chris, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much.
You bet.
We'll see you soon.